Nebraska state employees who are part of the NAPE union will not have to return to the office on Tuesday. Good evening. I'm Quinicia Fraser.
I'm Bill Shammer. The state's Commission on Industrial Relations ruled in favor of the Nebraska Association of Public Employees Friday, granting the union's motion to pause the executive order that would have required them to work in office.
KETV Newswatch 7's Maddie Augustine joins us live in the newsroom with reactions from both sides. Maddie?
The Nebraska Association of Public Employees says they asked the CIR to issue this temporary relief because they felt their members and public interest would be harmed. NAPE says this motion is a positive step, but there's more work they'd like to do with the governor.
We don't see litigation as efficient, effective, or a way to get a win. We think that working together with the governor is the way to do this.
The Nebraska Association of Public Employees, or NAPE, is calling for Governor Pillen to negotiate.
My concern is, wasting time and effort on litigation when we should be finding ways to attract and retain quality public servants.
In November, the governor issued an executive order requiring state employees to go back to work in person starting January 2nd. Data shows there are about 2,600 remote or hybrid state of Nebraska employees. That's about 20% of the workforce. NAPE Executive Director Justin Hubley says Nebraska violated state laws by not negotiating with the union on employment terms and conditions.
We filed what's known as a prohibited practices petition at the Nebraska Commission of Industrial Relations, the CIR. It's the state's labor board.
The union asked the CIR for temporary relief while the case is pending. That motion granted Friday. According to the motion, the status quo will be maintained until a final decision is made, meaning any state employee that is a NAPE member will not be required back in the workplace on Tuesday.
It means that their life is not upended right now, and it means that they have a voice at the negotiating table, which is what the legislature gave us in 1987 when they passed the State Employees Collective Bargaining Act.
The governor's spokesperson says that's not the case for every state employee. In a statement made to KETV, quote, "The CIR's ruling is narrowly applied to NAPE members who have a remote or hybrid work agreement. All other public servants are coming back into the workplace in accordance with Governor Pillen's executive order." Hubley responded by saying it's about the bigger picture. He says more than 1,200 employees would look for new jobs based on the executive order, and he wants the state to retain and attract public servants, not lose them.
My biggest fear, I guess, is that some of the most vulnerable residents of Nebraska, there could be a death or a terrible situation because we didn't have enough workers or enough trained workers to protect those who need protecting.
Hubley says legally the next step is trial, but again, they're calling for Governor Pillen to end litigation and negotiate with the union. The motion for temporary relief will be in effect until the CIR issues a final decision. Back to you.
Something we'll continue to track. Thank you, Maddie.